Just when the audience believed Alien Earth had reached its darkest point, Episode 9 delivered a finale twist that completely shattered every expectation. Alexandra Mason's execution was supposed to be the end of her story, yet the moment her heart stopped, something impossible awakened. The ancient alien ruins began to glow, the sky trembled, and long-buried symbols ignited as if responding to her death. Suddenly, everything the Galactic Council had hidden for centuries, every forbidden experiment, every prophecy they erased, crashed into the open. In the final seconds, as starships collapsed and a strange light swallowed Alexandra's body, one truth became undeniable: Alexandra Mason didn't die. She transformed. She evolved into something the universe was never meant to witness. And that single revelation changes the entire meaning of Alien Earth. The story of Alien Earth has always been one of mystery, power, and secrets that humankind was never meant to uncover. Episode 9 brings all of those threads together in a finale that shocks, surprises, and changes everything we thought we knew. From the very beginning, the events leading to Alexandra Mason's final confrontation seemed inevitable, yet no one could have predicted the chain of events that unfolded in the shadows. As the Galactic Council prepared to execute her, they believed they were ending a threat, but in reality, they were triggering the greatest revelation the universe had ever seen. The moment Alexandra fell, a strange energy rippled across the planet, awakening forces buried beneath centuries of deception. Those forces moved with intelligence, almost as if the planet itself recognized that a key part of the balance had shifted. Alien technology, hidden for generations, began to respond to her presence even in death, revealing secrets about human evolution, alien experiments, and the fragile boundaries between life and power. No one watching could ignore the transformation that was quietly beginning. What appeared to be the end was only the beginning, and every plan, every rule, every law that the Council had enforced started to unravel. It was in that unraveling that the story showed its true depth, reminding viewers that even in the darkest moments, the smallest spark can ignite something unimaginable. Alexandra's journey had always been about survival, but in these final moments, survival became more than a personal goal, it became a statement, a force that challenged the very foundation of control. The energy that surrounded her seemed to communicate with her, not in words, but in understanding, guiding her to unlock a power that no one had ever witnessed. As the Council members looked on, they could not comprehend what was happening. The light, the vibrations, the strange distortions in reality were all outside their comprehension, and that was the moment the story turned from a tale of conflict into a revelation of what it truly meant to be human in a universe filled with unseen watchers. Alexandra's consciousness expanded, not in a way that followed the known laws of physics or biology, but in a way that redefined them. Memories, knowledge, and visions of civilizations past and future flooded her mind, connecting dots that had always seemed random or unrelated. Viewers could feel the weight of the revelation, the sense that the events of the entire series were converging into a single moment of understanding, a moment that would forever change the perception of Alien Earth. There was no violence here, no battles or weapons, only the quiet, unstoppable force of evolution and awareness. And yet, even in the calm, there was tension, because what Alexandra was becoming was powerful beyond measure, and the universe she had known could no longer contain it. Every frame of this transformation carried significance, showing how the threads of human curiosity, fear, and resilience can collide with the unknown to produce something extraordinary. The Council's confidence crumbled as they realized their control was meaningless against the magnitude of what had been awakened. Every rule they had enforced, every secret they had buried, was now visible in the light of Alexandra's evolution. This light illuminated the alien ruins, the hidden chambers, and even the skies above, creating a spectacle that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. It reminded viewers that power is not always about strength or weapons, but often about awareness, knowledge, and the ability to change the course of history in a single moment. Alexandra's final twist was not just about survival, revenge, or defiance. It was about transformation and the realization that life, even human life, is capable of reaching beyond the limits imposed upon it. The energy she emanated touched the minds of those watching, challenging them to rethink everything they had ever known. In this way, Episode 9's finale was not just a conclusion, it was a beginning of understanding, a bridge between the known and the unknown, and a warning that the universe is far more complex and alive than humanity has ever imagined. As the story unfolded, every revelation layered upon the last, building tension and excitement, yet keeping the explanation easy to follow. The rise of Alexandra's power, the crumbling of the Council's authority, and the awakening of hidden alien technologies all work together to create a finale that is memorable, shocking, and deeply satisfying. Viewers could finally connect all the dots, seeing how each previous episode led inexorably to this moment. The finale did not rush to explain everything, but it offered enough clarity to make sense of the chaos, allowing the audience to appreciate the magnitude of the twist and the careful design behind the story. Even after her transformation, Alexandra's presence remained relatable. She retained the traits that had made her a hero to many: courage, intelligence, and determination, reminding viewers that growth and evolution do not erase identity but rather amplify it. The energy she radiated reshaped her surroundings, shifting the balance of power, altering alien and human alliances, and forcing every character and faction to reconsider their place in this new reality. The finale's twist was not merely a surprise, it was the logical culmination of everything established from the very first episode, tying together character arcs, hidden plotlines, and cosmic mysteries. It proved that even in a universe dominated by alien influence, human potential remains a force to be reckoned with. Through Alexandra's evolution, Episode 9 challenged viewers to consider the possibilities of life beyond comprehension, to embrace the idea that endings are never final, and to understand that true power comes from knowledge, transformation, and the courage to face the unknown. The finale leaves audiences with a sense of awe and anticipation, knowing that what has just occurred opens doors for stories yet to be told, adventures yet to be explored, and mysteries that may never be fully understood. In this way, Alien Earth Episode 9 does more than conclude a series, it elevates it, showing how storytelling can weave suspense, emotion, and revelation into a narrative that lingers in the mind long after the screen goes dark. As the transformation of Alexandra Mason continued, it became clear that what was happening was far beyond the understanding of anyone present. The energy surrounding her was not destructive in a traditional sense, it did not crush or obliterate, but it altered reality subtly, bending perceptions and revealing truths that had been hidden for millennia. Every particle of dust, every shadow, every trace of light seemed to respond to her presence. Viewers could almost feel the weight of the universe shifting as she evolved, and it was in this evolution that the true genius of Episode 9's finale became apparent. Alexandra was no longer just a human, she was a bridge between species, between timelines, between the known and the unknown. The Galactic Council, who had always relied on fear, discipline, and control, suddenly realized that none of their authority mattered against the awakening of a being who could see past their manipulations. Her eyes, though unseen in a faceless video, could be imagined as glowing with intelligence and knowledge that spanned centuries. Her mind raced through visions of alien worlds, human histories, and untold futures, linking them into a tapestry that made sense of everything. Every decision she had made, every risk she had taken, had led her to this point, and every viewer watching could feel the weight of that journey. The finale did not need to rely on battles or explosions to capture attention because the tension came from understanding that something unprecedented was occurring. The narrative had built to this moment over 9 episodes, gradually revealing the complexity of alien interference on Earth, the secrets hidden by the Council, and Alexandra's unique ability to challenge both. It was in this clarity that Episode 9 shone brightest. While ordinary stories might resolve through confrontation or escape, this finale resolved through revelation and transformation, showing audiences that the most profound endings are often those that change the very nature of the story itself. Alexandra's evolution allowed her to perceive patterns in the alien experiments that no one else could. She understood why certain species had been allowed to survive, why certain humans had been experimented upon, and what the ultimate goal of the Council really was. With this understanding came a calm authority, a sense that she could navigate any challenge, and a quiet, unshakable power that demanded attention. The moment she became fully aware, she also became aware of the countless lives impacted by the Council's schemes. She saw the pain, the fear, and the hope of humanity reflected in her own consciousness. In a sense, she became the collective memory of Earth, absorbing the knowledge and experiences of generations, linking them to her own instincts and decisions. Viewers could sense the enormity of this shift, understanding that Alexandra's role was no longer just as a protagonist, but as a catalyst for change. They were not simply background figures, their fear, confusion, and attempts to regain control added tension to the narrative. As Alexandra's presence grew, their schemes unraveled in real time. Alliances that had seemed stable shifted, secret communications were intercepted, and long-hidden weaknesses in their structure were revealed. The audience could watch as the characters they had followed for seasons struggled to adapt to a reality they could not control. This tension, combined with Alexandra's rise, created a sense of urgency that kept viewers engaged from beginning to end. One of the most compelling aspects of the finale was how it handled the concept of evolution, not just in a biological sense, but as a metaphor for knowledge, awareness, and growth. Alexandra's transformation was an ultimate expression of these themes. She embodied the idea that understanding and adaptation are more powerful than brute strength or authority. This idea resonated with audiences because it suggested that intelligence and courage could truly reshape the course of events, no matter how insurmountable the obstacles might seem. The energy she radiated also had a visible effect on the alien environment, subtly altering landscapes, awakening dormant machinery, and revealing hidden passages and chambers that had been sealed for centuries. These revelations were not explained through exposition, but rather shown through visual and narrative cues that made sense to the viewer without ever feeling confusing. By presenting these details in a faceless video format, the story allowed audiences to imagine the scope of the changes, making the experience more immersive and personal. Meanwhile, Alexandra's evolution began to challenge the Council's understanding of power itself. They had relied on fear, control, and the manipulation of knowledge to maintain their dominance, but Alexandra now embodied a power that could not be contained or measured. It was a power born not of weapons or armies, but of awareness and transformation, a reminder that the greatest threats often come from understanding rather than aggression. Every twist in the episode, from the activation of alien technology to the revelations about hidden experiments, was framed in a way that tied directly to her growth. Each detail mattered, reinforcing the story's central themes and ensuring that the audience could follow along without feeling lost. By the time the finale reached its climax, viewers were fully invested in Alexandra's journey, not just as a protagonist, but as a symbol of evolution, intelligence, and human potential. The conclusion of Episode 9 did not rely on a single moment of action to shock the audience. Instead, it relied on the cumulative effect of revelation, transformation, and consequence. Alexandra's emergence as a fully evolved being was both satisfying and thought-provoking, leaving audiences with a sense of awe and anticipation for what could come next. Every element of the finale, from her personal growth to the unraveling of the Council, was carefully crafted to reinforce the overarching narrative. The episode demonstrated that endings do not have to be violent or dramatic in the traditional sense to be impactful. Sometimes, the most powerful conclusions are those that change the story itself, forcing both characters and viewers to see the world differently. As Alexandra took her first steps into this new existence, the universe around her seemed to respond, shifting subtly but unmistakably. The story's tension eased, but only slightly, because the implications of her transformation were enormous. Viewers could imagine the ripple effects across the galaxy, the shifts in power, and the challenges that lay ahead for anyone who had once thought they controlled the narrative. Episode 9's brilliance lay in its ability to combine personal growth, cosmic revelation, and political intrigue into a single, coherent finale. Every moment contributed to the sense that the story had reached its logical yet astonishing conclusion, leaving no question of why Alexandra's evolution was necessary or how it would shape the future of alien Earth. As Alexandra's awareness expanded, the Galactic Council could only watch in disbelief, realizing that all their power, secrecy, and manipulation had been for nothing. Their elaborate plans to maintain control over human and alien interactions were unraveling faster than they could respond. It was not through combat or strategy that Alexandra had won, but through evolution, through the kind of transformation that made her capable of seeing every hidden motive, every deception, every secret that had been buried for centuries. The alien machinery, once dormant and intimidating, now responded to her presence, glowing and activating as if recognizing her as their master or perhaps as a key to something far greater. Even the air seemed different, charged with energy, as though the planet itself had shifted in recognition of her new state. The audience could imagine the tension, the sense of awe and fear that permeated the council's chambers. Alexandra's transformation was complete, yet she remained deeply human, carrying the memories, pain, and courage that had defined her journey. She became a symbol of hope and potential, showing that even in the face of overwhelming control and oppression, true change can come from within. It was not revenge she sought, nor dominance, but understanding and the ability to correct wrongs that had persisted for generations. As the episode drew toward its close, the narrative shifted to reflect the broader implications of her evolution. Across the galaxy, whispers of her transformation began to spread, hinting at the collapse of long-standing hierarchies and the potential rise of a new era. The story left viewers with a sense of both resolution and anticipation, revealing that while one chapter had ended, her mind raced through visions of alien worlds, human histories, and untold futures, linking them into a tapestry that made sense of everything. Every decision she had made, every risk she had taken, had led her to this point, and every viewer watching could feel the weight of that journey. The finale did not need to rely on battles or explosions to capture attention because the tension came from understanding that something unprecedented was occurring. The narrative had built to this moment over 9 episodes, gradually. The consequences of Alexandra's awakening were only beginning. The power of knowledge, courage, and transformation became the true focus, reminding the audience that endings are not always final and that even a single individual can alter the course of history. In the final moments, the visuals, though faceless and abstract, hinted at the possibilities to come: glowing alien cities, human survivors looking toward the stars with renewed hope, and Alexandra herself ascending into a higher state of being, no longer constrained by the limits of the past. The episode concluded not with violence or chaos, but with a sense of profound wonder and revelation. As the screen faded to black, viewers were left with the understanding that Alien Earth's story had reached a turning point, a finale that was both an ending and a beginning. The outro emphasized the themes of evolution, awakening, and the infinite potential of humanity when faced with the unknown. Narratively, it reinforced the idea that knowledge and courage are more powerful than any weapon and that true change comes from understanding rather than fear. By ending on this note, the episode encouraged the audience to reflect on everything they had witnessed, while also teasing the idea that the universe of Alien Earth was far from finished. The story's last lines, delivered in a voiceover or text on screen, reminded viewers that even in the darkest moments, hope, awareness, and transformation can lead to unimaginable possibilities, leaving them eager for what might come next while giving a satisfying conclusion to this chapter of the saga.